Hi, I'm Laura, the library lady, and thank you for joining me for this episode. Today I will be talking about The West Texas Chili Monster by Judy Cox and illustrated by John O'Brien. Let's jump right in. Out in the West Texas town of Capasa, where the sky's so big it touches the ground, there lived a widow lady called Mama. Mama made the bestest chili in the whole of Capasa, maybe the whole state of Texas. And here we see Mama making her chili on an old iron stove and a big old pot, and she's got chili peppers. She's got everything. She's definitely old school. Okay. Tuesday was chili night at Mama's ranch. The smell of simmering chili brought coyotes down from the hills and jackrabbits up from the hollows. Folks moseyed in from nearly everywhere, from the lobster coast of Maine and the rainy plains of Spain they came, just for a bite of Mama's chili. When that supper bell rang, Mama's 6 young'uns came a-running. Up from the gulches where they scrambled from horned toads, down from the hayloft where they hunted for kittens. Inez, Lorenzo, Isabel, Alphonse, Elma, and baby Jane. They'd never be late for Mama's chili. I love this book. It's so fun. Okay, we have the pictures. Now, the reason I'm having trouble because I've only been to Texas once, and it was Houston. So we have coyotes, which we have here in Maryland. I've seen them when I'm out bike riding. I've seen jackrabbits. They can be pretty big. But I love it when she says coyotes down from the hills and jackrabbits up from the hollows. So that's something that you can discuss with your child because it gives you a setting. And it's giving you great description. So you can talk about nouns and verbs and adjectives, parts of speech. Then I love folks moseyed. Do we even use that word? And I say moseyed. I kind of have a little sway because that's a real southern term. And mosey, that doesn't mean you're walking fast. Sometimes here on the East Coast, we take ourselves way too seriously and we're always in a rush to get nowhere, and we tend to be rude to each other. So I love when she said folks moseyed from nearly everywhere. And then I love it when she says from the lobster coast of Maine. I love that reference. And the rainy plains of Spain. Do you remember that musical, the plains in Spain? I can't remember not Dr. Dolittle, but one of those great films. I can't think of it right now. And then they all came from They came from a bite of Mama's chili. And then her children, Inez. I knew someone named Inez. Lorenzo. I knew someone named Lorenzo. Alphonse. Isabel, and I'm doing a shout out to a girl I went to high school named Elma, and baby came. My auntie, she was always known as baby sister. Baby sister, she had a full name, but that was her family name. Now, the book goes on, and I love this book because it deals with some modern issues. We see her going into town to get supplies, but the road was all torn up. So they were in this truck, and if you go out to the south, you always see people in a pickup truck. Even my brother has one now. And the kids are almost falling out. Now, when we were growing up, or I was growing up, let me speak for myself, you used to see people riding in the back of trucks. And we know that's not safe anymore. So, and she even has a shovel back there. So when you see pictures in books like this, you need to talk to your children about it. You don't see, I live, in Maryland, in the D.C. metro area, so I don't see that as much anymore, but I used to see that as a kid in Detroit all the time. So this is something that you're going to want to talk to your child about. I'm not saying that the illustration is improper. I'm just saying it's in the book, and when you read books with your children, you never know what they're going to pick up on, but you want to make sure your kids are safe. So what happens in the book is that they're going to have a chili cook-off. And Mama is, going to enter. And then this critter from out of space, not out of state, outer space, comes in to enter this contest and be a part of this contest because of the chili. And the book goes on to tell you how to make chili. It's like a recipe. And when you're following a recipe or sewing instructions, that's called functional reading. And my mother is extremely good at this. She hates to sew, but she can read a pattern and know exactly what to do. I read a pattern and go, huh? So there's different reading for persuasion, reading for informative, and etc. But functional reading is specifically giving directions. Some people write great directions, some people don't. But this is giving directions in a storybook of how to cook chili. It doesn't say a cup of this, a cup of that, but it tells us, what to do. And it's funny tasting it. Is it hot enough? Adding this or not? And there is a judging. And out of nowhere, this Martian comes, scares everybody to death, and eats up the chili. So I don't understand the Martian part, but it's really fun. And especially if your kids are into that. And so to finish this book, Mama does win first place of the chili contest. And then something happens that I think is really great. She uses the money, and of course the alien's still there, to fix the road. Now I just thought that was something that was very wonderful because it really shows a sense of community, a sense of need, especially when so many of our roads and bridges and things need to be repaired. And I'm thinking, how does she work in Chile and Alien and fixing a road all into one book? And it works. It's a really fun book. It made me laugh. And I'm like, wow. People are just very imaginative, and there's so many different ways to express ourselves. This is just a fun book. I would recommend ages probably 1st to 3rd grade. It's got some words in it that may be a little difficult for a kindergartner or a 1st grader, but definitely depending on your child and how much time you spend with your child, they could perhaps read it in 1st grade. It has quite a bit of text for a kindergartner, but lots of fun, just fun and make-believe. There's no limit to our imagination. So once again, this is The West Texas Chili Monster by Judy Cox and illustrated by John O'Brien. And Mr. O'Brien has illustrated over 50 children's books. And Ms. Cox, at the time that she wrote this, had written 3 or 4 children's books, and she plays the bass guitar, just to give you a little information about them. And you may want to talk to your child. If you don't live in West Texas, I went to Texas, I went to Houston, and I'm not that great at geography, so I don't know if Houston is in West Texas. But there was nobody wearing cowboy hats. I was a little disappointed about that. But when I went to Wyoming, everybody had on cowboy hats, or at least they were selling a lot of them. So it's interesting how different parts of the country have different cultures and different ways of expression. So this has plenty of big cowboy hats. I was in Houston, and I went to the Space Center there, and had a lot of fun. But Houston, believe it or not, reminded me a lot of my hometown of Detroit. Just a big city, but lots of great attributes. So please think about purchasing this book at your local bookstore or online. And my favorite spot, you got it, the public library. Just lots of fun. And isn't this a great book to read with your child when you're having chili? And wouldn't it be fun to make chili together as a family? I know we do a lot of homemade chili, and it is so good. So just something to think about. Enjoy, and bon appetit!